Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper. Guys, in this video, I'm going to go over a couple things with you about the nature of the Earth as far as the sun, the sunrise, sunset, timetables, time zones, things like that. And I'm using the Gleason's New Standard Map of the World as it is to go over this with you. There's a link in the video description below where to pull this up for research. You can download the link and actually print this off. Note to you though, if you're going to take it to like a printing place like Office Max or things like that, make sure to put it on a flash stick, because you cannot email this to yourself or to their printing services, because the file size is 31.4 megs. So just heads up on that. Okay, so let's get right to it. First off, I'm going to zoom out on this just about as far as I possibly can. If you notice, let's go back in just a little bit further. All right, if you notice right here, something that is marked off on this map, it actually begins right here on the edge. And please forgive me, hopefully this will be the last video I film that is using a phone to film the screen, or a camera. I'm going to actually get that thing where you can film the screen and record while you're talking. But in the meantime, you can see right here it's got the timetables marked off with the longitude. You see here the longitude, latitude lines where you can actually see the time zone markings. So this actually, in a flat earth model, the true scriptural nature of the earth, something that can be taken away from the Gleason map is, notice right up here in the corner it says this was in 1892, and this map did have patents in multiple countries and stuff, guys. So this is before the Roman Catholic Church got her heliocentric really rooted in everybody deep, and the Jesuits got the job finally done with the globe thing. That apparently, as you can see, they were still taught in the world that this was how the true nature of the earth looked, believe it or not, before everybody got indoctrinated. But anyway, Rob Skiba has shown, for those that have a question about this, I'll put a link in the video description below, and also right up in the corner right up here on the iCard, where that he shows how to mark out this to measurement. For example, like there's 3 blocks here in America. Well, that would be equivalent to 3 blocks here in Australia. The distance, even though that it's further out on the scale, the size is still proportionate correctly. I know that seems ridiculous, but I mean, the way that Rob explained that, and then also using the scale, which was restored, he actually took the the ability to restore the scale to this map, that once you restore that and go out through here, it makes perfect sense in the measurements. But what's really interesting is if we take we're going to go right here at the equator. We're going to make our little small sun, because let's face it, it's not 90 million miles away. It's only 30-something miles in diameter in reality. And then we take our moon and put over here on the other side of the equator, just like so. Now, as these progress, we know, that the sun and the moon do not have the exact same speed, all right? So that's not an issue about overtaking one another. What I'm more interested in showing you is right here is that you look at this. There's 24 hours in a day, and everybody's like, well, I just don't understand time zones on a flat earth map. Well, it's really simple, guys. As these go around, all right, I'm going to draw, let's do a dark blue for a line here. The horizon, okay, perspective and horizon. The sun, as it's coming up, let's say, just as the world, if we imagine this being a globe for a minute going around, well, then we look at this in the flat earth, and we have that horizon perspective, whereas if you were standing in your driveway and you see the mailboxes, and then the neighbor's is closer, and then the other one is the closest, just like a painter would be looking at perspective as well. As the sun is tracking around to here, mark that, and then mark that, and then mark that. It's going to start out looking very small in the morning, and as the time progresses in the day, obviously it's going to become larger and larger until then, obviously midday, if you're viewing it, and I'm just marking this as if we were viewing this from the US, it's going to be a lot larger. And then as it goes away, in perspective from that person, it's going to become much smaller. All right, well, look at the course of time and day, too. You know, we just count this off. We'll just take a 12-hour day, like right here, we would say high noon, right? So 1 o'clock in the evening, 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9. Actually, put that one a little far away. But you know what I'm saying is the sun is setting. Well, these are revolving around on this disk. So, you know, while it's sunlit on this side of the earth, it's dark on the other side. Now, you know, a good point people's brought up is like, well, you know, in Alaska you have the 24-hour day, and then someplace, you know, above the parallel, you know, when I worked up there, if you're above a certain parallel, then, you know, it's dark for a long extended period of time. Well, you know, think about this, guys. In the summer, if we look at the book of, let me back all this stuff off out of the way. If we look at the book of Enoch, you know, and we look at how the portals come and go as far as the sun. Sorry, I want to zoom this in where that we get over Alaska. You know, if you have the sun revolve, you know, and it's not just Alaska. Like, guys, up here in Canada, you know, it's like that as well up north, too. It's not just Alaska that's special, okay? So I wish people would quit beating that to death. But, like, if we have the sun going around the equator here, all right, we see this line coming around right here. If the sun's up closer during the summer, then it, you know, as this runs a tight course around through here, you're going to have the sun getting far away in perspective, just like we were discussing a second ago, but it's never going to be fully down. You know, if you look at the Alaskan summer, for example, you know, you see it going down, and then almost immediately here it is a couple hours later and it's back up again. Well, it's running a tighter circuit. So that same sun, please forgive me my technicalities here with the, okay, so that sun running the circuit here, coming around, all right, it's going to put it a lot tighter in this pattern here. You know, that thing's going to be a lot closer up in its circle. And yes, I know I'm not drawing a circle at the moment, but you'll see where I'm going with this. Let me zoom out of this just a little bit too. Is, you know, the transit that it's going, those portals that Enoch's talking about, you know, it's coming in a closer, tighter pattern. But now, if we take that same light set in the firmament, and, you know, during the winter solstice, which would be summer for, you know, Australia and all that, you know, that pattern's running further out, wider over this area. So, you know, that's going to abate that where Alaska would have had that really long summer. So when you start plugging this in on the flat Earth map, you know, you just have to really not want to see it when it comes to a lot of these questions, because, I mean, like, you just got to do your own investigative research. I mean, on the ball Earth situation, I mean, they're talking about, you know, the axis leaning in or out. Well, I mean, that's as simple as the sun going around on this disk, just moving inwards or outwards. And another thing that you can look at is that the hurricane path, there's like this whole stretch in the circle, if you look at hurricanes, that there's never a hurricane. Like they, you know, or a cyclone or anything like that. There's this whole stretch that never has one crossed that path. I mean, like, they all go up this way or they all go down that way, and everybody's like, well, it's just because the northern and southern hemisphere. No, it's because the luminaries run that circuit, and they either go upwards or downwards, but they never deviate from there. You know, they're running their courses that's, like, described in the book of Enoch. And, you know, whenever you can take that into consideration, you know, you can have a time zone on here. There's no reason not to have time zone, because you can have the full 24 hours in the day. The Gleason's map even accommodated for that, although that the sun and moon is not marked on here. And the other fact of that matter is when you start taking into account the writings in the book of Enoch and the luminaries, how that they run their course. I mean, we're got, you know, summertime up here for us, it's a tighter pattern. Wintertime, it's a further out pattern. You know, that equates for why that Alaska has such a long summer. It's because, look at it, how, I mean, there's no difference to this, guys, than as there is on the globe. So, I mean, that's not like that's an issue there. I mean, this actually makes more sense on a flat Earth for why Alaska, and I'm just using them for example, would have more light than as it would be on the globe. And guys, just to articulate out, lastly, kind of when it comes to the Alaska thing right here, as you can see what I was just sketching out is the tighter circle that runs. So as we can see, we can almost have a full daylight visible up at the north like that, as opposed to whenever, the wintertime on the, what will be winter solstice for us in the northern hemisphere, you have the summer solstice down at the lower portion of the earth. So, our friends down in Australia and so on, the sun be moved further away, and therefore, you have that long period of practically darkness above a certain parallel. So, I hope that clarifies that point out right there as well on the flat earth disc, because, even it's laid out on this map as well. Now, a couple last things on the Gleason map is that, now right down here, if you notice, there's a lot of Antarctica that was not marked off. I think they were full well sold out that it was an ice ring around the world, and that, there was nothing beyond that. I think they pretty much concluded that, I think whoever had control of making this map pretty much understood very well what the scripture described, because the layout of the map is completely in line with what scripture describes. But there's only chunks of it that's actually marked off, and that's interesting because you had Cook and all these others circumnavigate the so-called globe, but even on this Gleason map, there's only portions of it that's actually marked off. But you definitely need to download your copy. You'd enjoy looking this thing over. there is just so much information on it. But also check out the link to Rob Skiba's video that actually shows the breakdowns on the, like for example here, there's these 3 blocks like I was saying earlier, and then you scroll down here in America and there's 3 blocks. Australia and America is almost the same width, distance wise, and so as you can see on this, as you would roll the scale, which is actually weird because it's broke off at like the 33rd degree, practically over Israel. So I don't know what's up with that. That's kind of creepy. It's almost like code word. But if you take that, you can look at these distances and stuff and apply that a block is equivalent even as it wides out, and it's pretty neat. And I think that this map right here and the azimuthal equidistant is pretty much the closest thing we're probably ever going to have to the true nature of the earth until the Most High Yah comes back. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Just continuing sitting here doing my research, and until we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, I hope you have a most blessed day in Yahushua's name.